We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.
It's a Rose Blog Talk Radio.
Hello. This is Italo.
Hello, how are
with
you?
Italo's Black Talk Radio, and we have part 2, people. Those who have been waiting, which is none of you. Nobody has asked for this episode, but you know what? It's here. It's now. Welcome, Robbie Cornelius. How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I am good. Actually, I was taking a nap.
My wife
how you
wanted.
doing?
I'm great, man. My wife wanted to go to somewhere. Oh yeah, Whole Foods, and that ended up taking longer than anticipated.
Oh yeah, Whole Foods
now I'm
always
back.
takes longer. Now you're back. Now we're ready.
Now we're ready, man. How's your day going so far?
Yeah, so far so good. I've been very productive in TikTok. I've done like almost 10 videos today, and I'm like, wow. That's what it's come down to nowadays. I'm productive. I'm like you, going live every 5 minutes or every time I come into TikTok, you're on. And I'm like, he's still on. Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's become one of my favorite methods of communication.
Right. Actually, I agree with what you were saying in your earlier. You were live and you were just commenting on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and I totally agree with what you're saying about Facebook, deleting Facebook. But then I was thinking, I'm like, well, I got all those pictures, I got all those quote unquote friends that never support me, and who else? Co-workers, family that give me the shit. Can give a rat's ass about me. I don't know. Should I keep him or not?
I know. I tell myself all the time. I tell myself that I'm going to stop posting on Facebook, and a week or two will go by, and then I'm like, you know what? My Facebook audience needs to hear this. Which my Facebook audience is just family and friends.
Right.
But and I tend to post a lot more family stuff on there. And every time I post family stuff, it's like I regret it. Like because we're really not standoffish. We're really private family.
Right.
And sometimes I get in the moment and I want to post something about my family, and like if I'm traveling or if I'm hiking or if I'm but all I get a lot of times on there is like people judging me, like
mm-hmm.
Like I'll have people that say things like, oh man, when do you ever work? Or like I don't have time for those things. Yeah, I don't like those conversations. Like, that's none of your business.
Right. By any chance, do you get an echo from me, or am I the only one hearing
Hold
that?
on. It could be on my end. Hold on.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because.
Okay, is this better?
Oh wow, you're in HD. I can hear you. It's much better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
where
every
we?
time I oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just. I actually didn't listen to our first interview that we had in my podcast, but we actually were about to going to the deep end on something that was really interesting to me, but I don't know what it was. But we were talking about our parents and stuff like that, and we actually had been chatting here and there and kind of touching on the subject. But every time I bring the subject up, something happens for some reason, and I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm not supposed to reveal, like you're not revealing where you are sometimes, or about your past.
That's right.
And it's kind of like one of those subjects where you're like, I don't know if people will understand, or if people will be judging me, or people will be looking at me like, ooh, that happened to you. Okay, ooh, you're one of those. Okay. Are you a victim? Are you a survivor? What are you? Like, like sometimes I don't want to share it because I don't think they understand.
I totally agree. I was having a conversation with my wife today about how some people, when you're conversating with some people, you want to be open with them, but you have to be mindful that some people are going to use the things you tell them against you.
Wow.
And even if it's like the most general stuff you're talking about, people will use it against you. People will use it to kind of undermine who you are as a person, or the actions that you take or don't take. And it goes back to why I don't really like Facebook that much, because it's such a there used to be a time when you moved out of your parents' house, you really were gone. They didn't have a microscope to peer into your life. Now they do. It's called Facebook. It's called social media. So you never really move out of your parents' house. You just you move out of their house, move into your house, but they still have a key to your house via social media. And you never really get to grow up. Yeah, you never really get to grow up and really experience life outside of the nest, And
right.
So my father and my stepfather are both no longer on the planet. So that's one thing. My mother is still here, but I also have a lot of family and friends as well. And to be honest, I love my family and friends, but I would love to live a life where I'm posting to an audience that's bigger than the people that I grew up with. And that's why I like TikTok, because, for instance, if family can't really deal with you having money, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying this directly about my family. It just feels weird. Like, it feels weird to post imagery of your great life when you know that people remember you when you didn't have this life. You kind of feel guilty about it a little bit. I do. I'll say, I won't speak for you, but I'll speak for me. I feel a little guilty about it, or I feel like I can't be as free as I would normally be if my family and friends were not watching. And so I tend to not post on Facebook a lot.
What I was a total opposite that you were, and I'm going to tell you why I stopped doing that. So I was actually on Facebook quite a bit in the beginning, 10 years ago, and I was posting everything like I was doing on TikTok now, and I was taking pictures. If I'm in Paris, or if I'm in Peru, or if I'm traveling, I'm enjoying my life, and I was posting. And suddenly people were also judging me, right? And I was like, what am I doing? And so I realized now, with my new relationship that I have, it's like, you are an open book, Victor. You have to close the book and only allow certain people to see it. And that's what happened with Facebook, too. I got very jaded with people that were judgmental, and they were quick at making assumptions about me, or they saw me with one boyfriend, they saw me with another boyfriend, and they saw me with another boyfriend. And so in their mind, they were like, what's going on with Victor? Is Victor okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, you're right. Because he was my current boyfriend. He was bothered by it. He's like, you have to stop sharing everything on social media. And I was
That's
like,
right.
why? I didn't get it. And so I realized, like, oh, they're okay. So they think they know me, but what I post on social media, I see what it is.
Yep. That's right. And it's all
right.
it's kind of as a person like you, person like me, like we want to share what our life is like or our day is like, or if I'm having a delicious meal, I want to share that with people to let you know that to share. We are sharing creatures, I think, and but unfortunately you can't, and so that's why I just really think about. I do better with strangers than I do with people. I'm more of. Here's the deal, and this might sound weird. So, although I'm me, I'm going to be me all day, every day, 24 hours a day. I'm just me. But I'm more of my new self when I'm with strangers, and when I'm with people that I've grew up with, I'm trying to figure out. All right, now who was I again when I was with you? Like. Like what role am I playing again? Like I just it's a lot of it takes a lot of effort for me to figure out like
right.
And so I get I'm from a small city, man, so like I don't I'm from a small city, and so with that I've recently moved within the last year. It's about to be a year since I've left my hometown. A lot has changed. A lot has changed now, and a lot changed when I was still there. And for that reason, man, if I feel like I have to continue to get back into character for people that I met at a certain place in time, like if I will literally just cut people off and won't even talk to them again, because it's too hard for me to remember what role they want me to play,
That's interesting that you said get back in character. Wow. So you were, that's interesting because that's exactly what happens in my family. Like they try to pick up from where I left off. And I was in Peru in the 90s, right? Or actually the 80s. I came here in 92. And so whenever I talk to my classmates or whenever I talk to my family, they see me as the 19-year-old that left. Insecure.
Yeah.
I was very, I was very naive. I was very closeted. And so when they see me now and they see me like I just, I went all out and I'm doing theater and I'm doing what I love and I'm doing podcasts and I'm doing all the things that I think you as well have branched out so much that by the time you get back to them, you're like, whoa, you left me when I was what? I wasn't doing anything. Like, I was a different person. I've totally changed 180. You want me to be in my teens, and I'm 47 right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and they're always sending me like my classmates whenever they get on WhatsApp, they send the stupidest things, the most childish, immature, adolescent jokes you've ever seen. And I'm like, you know what? I'm out, you guys. And they try to do it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, I can't with you guys. Like, you're still in high school. I cannot deal with you people. Like, grow the fuck up. Like, you're still sending dick pictures and oh my Lord. Who are you with now? You used to be with her and so on and so on. I don't care. That was in high school.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm like, man, I just, that's like if I meet somebody like you, right? Like, I'm who I am with you is who I am when I'm home with my family. You know, my family that lives inside of my house, wife, 2 kids, the dog, they are with me, so we're all evolving together. But if you're outside of this house and you knew me from when I was a kid or, you know, when I was a teenager, it's like you don't even know me anymore, really.
Right.
You just you're holding on to a memory.
Wow.
And it's like,
and you know, there was something that I don't know if you know Lauryn Hill, the singer, but
yes.
Lauryn Hill was doing this unplugged version of her. It was actually all new songs that she was doing then, and she said, "You know what, guys, the audience that was there, you know, people judge me, and they think that they know who I am, but I don't even know who I am. So how can you pretend to know me if I don't even know myself?" And I was like, "Oof, mind fucking blown." Exactly, Lauryn Hill. Like, who knows you if you don't even know yourself? You're barely getting to know yourself.
That's right.
Amen.
That's the people that will, those people who are like that, right? They'll even use a statement like that against you. They'll say, "Oh, you don't even know who you are anymore," and it's like they use that as a bad thing. But you know, if you study neuroscience at all, they did, right? See,
they totally blackmailed her after that. It's like she was like out of the industry.
Exactly. And you know, the crazy part is, if you study neuroscience, or if you study Dr. Joe Dispenza's material, he talks about the fact that if you want to change your life, you literally have to forget about who you have been up until this point in order to experience a new way of life. And that's what I've always prided myself on, just being able to, of course, I'm not acting like my childhood didn't happen or my upbringing didn't happen or my past didn't happen, but I'm living now. I'm living for now. Like, I'm living in the moment, and I'm looking to become more than I already am right now at the same time. And so when I saw a platform like my podcast, right, my podcast audience they know me probably more than anybody outside of my wife and kids, you know, because I've been able to continue to evolve with my podcast audience, unlike I have been able to do with people that are not in my home. And it's very difficult. So for, you know, that reason I struggle. Every day I'm like, I'm going to delete Facebook today. And it never happens, you know. So,
well, this is the thing is with Facebook in particular or Instagram, I have different audiences there. I have different people that are following me there, and so I'm going to keep them for a reason, because I want to promote whatever I'm doing, my show, my podcast. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, I'm not going to share as much as I'm sharing in TikTok, or even as much as I'm sharing on a podcast. I just take a little snippet of it too, and if you want to listen to the whole 45-minute interview, that few people do that because they don't have time. They don't want to. They don't really have. They're not really there sometimes. I notice that people have the attention span of a fly. So if you don't have a 1 minute to spare to listen to a little bit of what we talked about, and you don't have, you know what I mean? Like, you don't take the time, or you don't do your own homework. Okay, Robbie talked about neuroscience. Let me look it up. Let me type it on YouTube. Let me, narcissism. Let me research that on YouTube. Or let me watch a documentary about Tulsa, or about the politics that's going on right now, or coronavirus, what it's all about. So if you don't do your own research, and you just jump on the bandwagon, you're not educated. You're not really prepared. You know what I mean? So I think
that's right.
Many people have to do that before they get into your level.
Yeah, it's very important that we do that in today's time. So, for instance, yesterday on the way back home from vacation, as I'm driving, I'm listening to different people speak, and I'm listening to people who are talking about a subject in a way that I disagree with. And I'm not going to tell you what the subject is or the conversation or who said it, but it was a subject that I did not agree with, and I listened to the entire 1 hour and 20-minute video as I'm driving. I'm just listening. And I disagree with the lady. But at the end of it, I'm like, I understand why she said it. I understand why this person thinks this way. I understand. And so when I'm making up my mind about something, I love to listen to information that differs from the conclusion I've come to. Because first of all, I want to know what other people think and how they think so that I'll know how to interact with them. And then second of all, I want to know that I'm not right all the time. I want to know that people think differently than me.
Right.
And so I love that. But now, I think now what you see in the world is people have become so polarized that nobody is listening to each other anymore. They're just people are just yelling out what they think is right, and nobody is listening. Everybody's yelling, and
right.
So I don't know. It's a very interesting time, but for me, I've been able to continue to maintain my inner peace by listening to people because I'm one of those guys where I don't really believe, I know this, people will use this against me, okay? But I don't really believe in anything. What I do is I try things, and if it works, I keep doing it. Doesn't work, I either tweak it or just abandon the entire thing. Like if it either works or it doesn't, So when someone attacks my ideas, I'm not offended because, I'm not loyal to this idea. It appears to work for me. But
right.
if you have a different thing that works, I'm willing to adopt that as well.
Well,
so
you were talking about religion and beliefs earlier, or that's what you've been posting lately.
Yes.
And I found it interesting that you said what you said because, let the audience know what you were saying about being a Baptist, and then you went through your, different beliefs until you got to where you are, because they may not get what I'm saying.
Yeah, so basically what I was saying, I was kind of raised with a Baptist perception of reality. And we were one of those families.
Sorry, you sound a little boxy again. I don't know what it is.
Oh, hold on. How about now?
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
So I was raised with kind of a Baptist perception of reality. And, it was like it was like a really, really superstitious mindset that I was raised with. And I'll give you an example. And I'm not saying all Baptists thought this. This is some of the superstition that we grew up with. So when we were kids, let's say, and this you might find this funny, if it was raining outside, but the sun was out, my grandparents would say the devil was beating his wife. And, they literally believed that. They would really, and I'm going to tell you, and I'll and not only that, they would say things like, if it was thundering or lightning outside, they would say, sit down, God's doing his work, or things of that nature. And I really wholeheartedly believed that was true. And I remember being in school one day, and I looked at my friend. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "that's crazy. The devil's beating his wife." And my friend looked at me, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "It's raining outside, and it's sunny." And he said, "What does that have to do with the devil and his wife?" And I said, "Dude, you never heard that?" I said, "You never heard that before?" I said, "The devil's beating his wife, man." Man, this dude laughed so hard he started crying. And so I was like, I went home still puzzled, in a daze, because I realized, like, hold up, somebody has a different outlook on life than me, even with something that simple. So anyway, I still grew up with this Baptist perception of reality, this really fundamental, like God did everything. You were just a bystander. God has done everything. And so, long story short, I used to just vocalize that that's what I believed. But the older I got, the more I found it to be just harder and harder to pretend as if I thought the same way. And then one day, and I'm going to say something really controversial, okay? One day I admitted that I did not believe in God anymore. I was like, I just don't believe, like, not that anything. And actually, when I stopped believing, I know this is going to be controversial, but when I stopped believing in God, my life got better. And the reason why I believe that was so is because a lot of the things I was expecting God to do for me, I started to do for myself. And because, again, we were taught that God was over everything. So I took that as I could just be reckless out here and do whatever I wanted to do. And if God don't want such and such to happen, it's not going to happen. Or if God wants it to happen. I know I might have been on the deep end with it, but, like, that's how my mind interpreted God. I'm like, I can do this, I can do that, I can. And so when I stopped believing in God, that gave me full responsibility. I'm like, okay, if I do good, it's me. If I do bad, it's me. But regardless, I need to take responsibility for my actions starting now. So at the age of 27, I became a full-blown atheist, I believe. I still use the word God a lot because I'm from the South and I didn't want to offend anybody a lot. But then, after diving so much into atheism, I got bored with that perception too. That was kind of dry for me. It was like, it was just dry, it's kind of like going to a vegan meeting. Like, vegans, people would invite me to these vegan meetings, and when I got there, all they would talk about is how bad everybody else was for eating meat, and how stupid they were, And that's how atheism was a little bit. Like, I get it. It's crazy to believe certain things. I get that, but are we going to do something else? And so what I found, just like everything else in life, I said, the truth is almost always, somewhere in the middle. And so what I started to do is to understand God on my own. And this flies in the face of both religion and atheism, because religion sometimes want to be the middleman between you and God. And then atheism says, don't talk to God at all because he or she is not there. And what I found is that for me, what started to work was me developing a personal relationship with God. And this is where I get a little weird too, because for me, when I say God, I'm simply talking about life. And I know some people were like, you know, God created life. God is not life. Well, for me, God is life. You know, that's just how I've personally come to interpret it. And, you know, because if God is alive, then God also has life running through he or she or it as well. And it's besides the point. But for me, life and God are synonymous. And so when I pray, or I don't really even pray, and this is another thing, I spend more time commanding myself instead of praying, because I believe that the way that I honor God or life is by consciously creating myself anew in every moment instead of wishing and hoping. Because I think sometimes when people sit around and pray, they end up sitting on the driver's seat of their own life because they think that the prayer or the wishing or the hoping is enough. So I live my life as if I'm still totally responsible. It's just that now I have a personal relationship with God, life, or the universe, you know. And I know that's where a lot of people, I lose a lot of people at, because they want you to believe in God the way they want you to believe in God. And
right.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well,
with it.
I think there was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's okay.
No, I was just saying, because in your comments you had some people talking about religion and how there's only one God and stuff like that, right? Which is I understand it to be one source. I understand that. However, as you're saying right now, God is present in life in general, right? So if you see a deer, or if you see a bird, or if you see the ocean, or if you see somebody, you know, a person, you see them, right? You see the God in anybody and everybody. So if that was the case, then the life source can take the shape of anything. And if that's the case, then the Mayans were right, the Egyptians were right, the Taínos were right, whatever, the Egyptians were right, and Greeks were right, because God can take any shape or form in order to teach you something. And if you can see it that way, then in that case, God or the energy or the universe is able to take any shape it wants.
I totally 1,000% agree. I agree with you 1,000%, if that's even a thing. I mean, I totally resonate with that, and I don't see why people would have a problem with that. You know, to me that
right.
makes perfect sense. You know, like the essence that powers everything, the energy that powers everything, is what I call God. I mean, it's even the wind. You know, the wind. The birds, the bees, the trees, everything, you know. So for me, I'm talking to God every single day, every moment. You know, that's why, again, like I told you, that's why I like strangers so much. I like strangers because strangers often offer a raw message from God to me. Because they're not trying to mold their words a lot of times to fit the person they think you are from your past experiences. They're talking to you a lot of times from where you are right now. And for me, I find messages from God in that, or from life in that. To me, I like that. I like meeting strangers. Sometimes, and I just don't know. I think when here's where I'm at with everything. If it happened, even if it happened 2,000 years ago, or yesterday, or today, if I wasn't there, I have to admit that I don't know. right?
Mm-hmm.
If I, let's
Mm-hmm.
just say you, Victor, called me one day and you say, "Hey, Robbie, I just saw a yellow moose today," and I'm like, "Really?" And you're like, "Yeah, dude, I swear to you, I saw a yellow moose." And I said, "Okay, great." And you tell me all about this moose, and I go about my life, and then a person comes to me and they say, "Robbie, is it true that Victor saw a yellow moose the other day?" And I'm like, "Well, he said he did." And then they're like, "Yeah, but did he or didn't he?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, he had documentation saying that he saw one, and he had a picture of one or whatever, but I don't know for sure. Like, I don't know if that was photoshopped or if it was, I don't know. I believe Victor is a straightforward person from what I know of him, but again, I wasn't there to witness it with him, okay? And so when the only issue I really have with anybody, whether it's a religious institution or any body of people who wants you to believe in something wholeheartedly without you being present to witness it yourself, I have a problem with that, because if we can't admit that we were not there during the times of Jesus or anybody else for that matter, if we're humble, we can say, "You know what, I wasn't there, but this book that I read told me this happens, and I believe in this book for sure." I don't know if it really happened, but I believe it happened 100%. But when people try to tell me that they know something happened, like they know for sure this particular event happened, and they were not there, I have a problem with that. My sons and I, both of my sons are Christians, okay? And they've seen me go through the phases of, being, Christian and then atheist and whatnot. They've gone through that. They've seen that phase, and more recently, me starting to use the word God a lot more. But I even had a debate one night with my youngest son. He was trying to tell me what he knew for sure to be true. And I said, "Look, son, I'm not going to disagree with you, and I'm not going to try to tell you not to believe in X, Y, and Z. I said, but I definitely want you to know the difference between a fact and an opinion. I said, because if you don't understand what a fact is and what an opinion is, you're going to be just believing in all kind of stuff without really, really knowing." And so right. I went in the next room and I yelled from the other room and I said, "Son, I'm holding up 3 fingers right now. Am I telling the truth?" And he says, "I don't know." I said, "Guess." He says, "You're holding up 4 fingers." I said, "Do you believe I am or do you know?"
Hello? Robbie?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Sorry.
So I go to the other room and I yell. I asked my son, I said, "Hey, am I holding up 3 fingers or 4 fingers?" He's like, 4, I guess, And I said, "Do you know that to be true for sure, or do you believe that to be true?" And he says, "I believe it." And I said, "Okay, that's the difference between a fact and an opinion. Like, you're not in the room with me, so you don't know how many fingers I'm holding up." And I said, we have to take that same logic and apply it to every single subject under the sun. And I don't see what's so hard about that for people,
Right. Well, on that note, Robbie, we have got to do a part 3 because guess what? It's almost 45 minutes.
Already?
And every time, already. I wish we had another crazy 45 minutes right now because this is getting interesting. But
hey, you let me know. I'm free.
I know. I'll let you know. But, so I guess I didn't see that coming. As I always say. But thank you for calling, Robbie.
We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Hit the record button.